Good morning, dear students of class 12. Welcome to the English online learning class. Today we are going to take up part 5 of the lesson, Should Wizard Hit Mommy? Now let us first have a quick recap of what we did in the previous classes. Now it is a story of the worldview of a little child and the difficult moral questions she raises during the storytelling sessions with her father. The main protagonist's father is Jack and his daughter Jo. Now, Jack used to tell his daughter Jo stories, and these stories were told with a purpose, and the purpose was to put her to sleep. It was almost a custom, and this began when she was 2, and now the girl was 2 years old. The stories were not read somewhere, they were from Jack's creative mind, his imagination. And now his head was almost empty. He was running short of stories. The stock was over. Now, the basic structure of all the stories was same. There was a creature called Roger, and he had a problem. In order to solve his problem, he used to go to the owl used to direct him to the wizard, and the wizard used to solve his problem, but on payment basis. When the time came for making the payment, Roger used to run short of money, but wizard used to help him find the money. And the payment was made, problem was solved, Roger joined his friends and then returned home just in time when father came from Boston, and then the family had a good night supper. And the story came to an end with a happy ending. There was slight variation also in all the stories. Although the structure remained the same, but the creature used to be different. Roger animal used to be different. It could be Roger fish, Roger squirrel, Roger chipmunk, etc. And similarly, the problem used to be slightly different. So all the stories were same, but at the same time different. But these days, father was experiencing a problem. And this problem was that the girl was not sleeping. The sessions were becoming tiring, and it seemed as if the custom of storytelling was almost futile, was without any use, as the daughter was not sleeping. It was a part of her growing up. She was going to school, she had joined a nursery school, she was growing up, and she had her own view of the world. And she was very curious to know about things. And so she used to interrupt her father in between storytelling sessions, asking him certain questions which he had to reply. And as the story came to an end, the girl, instead of falling asleep, used to be wide awake. So that particular day, when father asked whom she wants the story to be based on, and she immediately said Roger Skunk. Probably she had heard about skunks. She was told about skunks in the nursery school. And immediately, father's creative imagination started working. And he said that there was a Roger skunk once upon a time in a village, in a forest, and he had a problem. And the problem was very serious. He smelled bad, and because of his smell, he was rejected by his friends. He had to face humiliation, insults. They used to tease him, call him Roger Stinky Skunk. And when he was describing this, probably there was some autobiographical element here, because it was his own rejection that father had to face in his childhood days. Now Roger Skunk was crying because he was rejected by his friends, and the girl Joe could feel his rejection, could feel his insult, and a tear dropped from her eyes. Now, this set the tone of success to his story, and father felt happy. But then he was reminded that he had to join his wife downstairs, as she had already started working and he was supposed to help her out. But he did not want to compromise with his story in any way. He was a good storyteller, and he began by telling her that he would go to the owl. In fact, the girl only suggested that he would go to the owl, and then he described the owl and the place where the owl was sitting. Now, the owl also felt that the problem was serious, and then the girl was so excited that she said he would direct her to the wizard. Probably this was not liked by the father, and he said it is his story. He was very possessive. He was now no more a democratic storyteller who had sought the opinion of his girl on whom the story would be based. Now he wanted a full control on his story. The girl interrupted him in between by asking him, "Are magic spells real? Then what's a crick?" And then when he reached the wizard's house, he described the wizard and gave the sound effects, voice modulation. But the girl also interrupted him in between by asking him, "Will the wizard die?" The story was progressing smoothly, and the girl was also asking questions which father used to answer. Sometimes he was slightly irritated because that spoiled the continuity of the story. And when he described that the wizard played a magic spell with his magic wand and asked Roger that what smell he would like to be changed to, and Roger said roses. And the girl also enjoyed this. She approved of this smell. She was participating in the story, and the manner in which the girl showed her excitement, it resembled the excitement of his wife. So the girl was becoming a replica of her mother, Jack's wife. All of a sudden, he was lost. But then, in this, he made a mistake. Instead of Roger Skunk, he said Roger Fish, which the girl, who was alert enough, she pointed out. And father also accepted that he had made a mistake. The story was coming to an end. And now, as all the story progressed, in the same way this story would also go, because Roger now would run short of money, and the wizard would direct him the place where he would find the extra money. This time the girl made a crying expression which father did not like, because there was no trace of sincerity in her expression, as if the girl knew that this is how the story is going to progress. Father felt it as an insult. Downstairs, his wife was already moving furniture. She had waited for him probably, and he did not turn up. And she was 6 months pregnant. It was the third child she was bearing, and he was supposed to join her, help her, but he could not because he was stuck in the storytelling. He wanted the story to finish, but at the same time, he did not want to compromise in any way with the story, because he was a very good storyteller. So the wizard helped him. The story continued. The wizard helped Roger Skunk in finding the extra pennies. And now the story was coming to its end. Roger Skunk went happily with his problem solved. He was accepted by his friends. They played different kinds of game. Here also the girl had a question. She wanted to know what's pick up sticks. And then father replied very briefly that it is like a magic wand. Now, the story would go to its was reaching its end, and the end was known to the girl like all the stories. So she started showing disinterest, which probably the father did not like, and so he deliberately introduced a twist in the story. The twist was when Roger Skunk reached his house, his mother was angry, and she was so angry she took her son to the wizard's house, and she was armed with an umbrella, and she hit the wizard with the umbrella. The girl was not liking this. She was arguing with her father because she wanted a different ending. She did not want Roger Skunk's smell to be changed, and she tried to force her father to stop, but her father was not willing to stop. He wanted to give his own ending to the story, whereas the girl wanted her own ending. She wanted that the wizard should hit the mommy back and should not change the smell of Roger Skunk. And finally, forcefully, as Jack thought himself to be the storyteller, and he said, "It's Daddy's story, and Daddy is not going to tell you stories anymore." And he deliberately gave an ending to his story the way he wanted. Finally, the girl was very annoyed, and the girl branded Mommy as a stupid mommy. It was not, he said with rare emphasis, and believed from her expression that she realized he was defending his own mother to her. And something as odd. "Now, I want you to put your big heavy head in the pillow and have a good long nap." He adjusted the shade so as not even a crack of the day showed, and tiptoed to the door in the pretense that she was already asleep. But he turned. She was crouching on the top of the covers and staring. "Hey, get under the cover and fall fast asleep. Bobby is asleep. So the brother is asleep, you should also fall asleep." This was what father wanted. He had given an ending to his story, but the daughter did not approve of the ending, and she jumped up. "What? Tomorrow I want you to tell me the story that wizard took the magic wand and hit that mom. This is what I want the story to end tomorrow." Right over the head. "No, that's not the story. The point is that the little skunk loved his mommy more than he loved all the other little animals, and she knew what was right." So what he was saying through Roger Skunk's mummy was his own mother, who used to take decisions on part for his son. So Roger Skunk's mommy was like his own mother. Again, another autobiographical feature in the story. "No, tomorrow you say he hit that mommy. Do it." She kicked up her legs and sat down on the bed with great heave and complaint of springs, as she had done hundreds of times, except that this time she did not laugh. This time the girl was serious. "Well, we will see. Now at least have a rest. Stay on the bed. You are a good girl." He closed the door and went downstairs. But he was not ready to change. He wanted the girl to sleep, and he went away, giving her no assurance. Claire had spread the newspaper. His wife opened the paint can, and wearing an old shirt of his on top of her maternity smock, was stroking the chair rail with a tip brush. Above him, footsteps vibrated, and he called, "Joan, shall I come up there and spank you?" It was his daughter, who was not sleeping, who was just making noise. The footsteps hesitated. "That was a long story," Claire, wife said. That it was a long story. "The poor kid," he answered, and with utter weariness watched his wife's labor. The woodwork, cage of moldings, rails, baseboards, all around them was half old tan and half new ivory, and he felt caught in an ugly middle position. He was really disturbed, distracted. He thought himself in an ugly middle position, and though he as well felt his wife's presence in the cage with him, he did not want to speak with her, work with her, touch her, anything. So he himself was in a very disturbed phase of life. He was probably not able to balance his life properly. Work life balance was going